Welcome to my Tulum vlog. I just arrived at the hostel. Basically took me about, I'd say 15 hours or so. It was a flight from Seattle to North Carolina to Cancun, and then a 2-hour drive from Cancun to Tulum, which I think turned into 3 hours. And yeah, I'm finally here. I'm at a hostel called Mama's Hostel. It's like not super fancy or anything, but I chose it because it has really good reviews. It is not a party hostel, and 3, because apparently the food is really good. They have really good breakfast. So yeah, this is my bunk bed. I got to choose between the two. Now I'm actually starving. I'm going to go get some dinner. I haven't eaten for hours. And then yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow at breakfast. So because this was an only 7-day trip, I meticulously planned every single day to ensure I didn't miss out on anything cool. And the first 2 days were actually reserved to cenotes, which are going to take up the majority of this vlog. The first cenote I visited was the Gran Cenote, which is probably the most popular one. And I could have walked there as it was actually only 1 hour away from the hostel, but I wanted to arrive as early as possible to beat the crowd, so I decided to take a taxi. When I arrived, they asked that I take a shower before swimming in the cenote because they want us to wash off any products that we have on in order to not pollute the water. That was absolutely not fun. When I saw the water from the cenote, I almost couldn't believe it was real because I had never seen this kind of clear turquoise water before, and I kind of always thought it was because of Instagram filters. I didn't think it was real, but clearly it is real because this footage here has no filters. This cenote was probably my favorite of all, even though it was the first one that I visited, because the water was crystal clear and because there were actual turtles swimming around with you. And I brought my own snorkeling gear, but you could also rent it at the front desk and also rent lockers if you want. Also, I recommend getting there early. You don't have to get there super early, but at least like around 9 or so, because that is when the cenote is empty. I read online that afterwards it gets crowded. The only negative about coming so early was the fact that I actually got cold quite fast, so I couldn't stay in the water super long, but still super worth it. After Gran Cenote, I walked over to Cenote Caballero, which was only 25 minutes away. This cenote was also pretty empty when I arrived, which I was super surprised about because it was already past 11 a.m. This one is also pretty well known on Instagram because of a ladder and a swing that it has, and it was definitely fun for jumping. The only thing is that the water wasn't really clear and there were not a lot of fish or anything in the water, so I wouldn't recommend it for snorkeling. After the cenotes, I walked all the way back to Tulum Centro, and yes, I was trying to avoid paying for a taxi. I went for lunch to a place called Burrito Amor, which is supposed to be really popular, and I got the vegetarian burrito. I thought they were okay, not amazing, but yeah, it was kind of hard to beat the delicious tacos I had had the night before for dinner. The next day, I had a plan to go see some further away cenotes, so I had to take a taxi, which cost me $20 US, only to discover some days later that I could have taken a colectivo for only $1.5. You live and you learn. Okay, so originally I was going to do 2 cenotes, but they sold me to do the underground tour, which is 700 Mexican pesos. So yeah, spending a little extra money, but it looked really, really cool. So I think it's gonna be worth it. In other words, I decided to do the tour of the Cenote dos Ojos for 700 pesos instead of visiting 2 cenotes on my own, Dos Ojos and Tacpija, for 600 pesos, because the guided snorkeling tour would take me through underground caves, which most cenotes don't have. So I told myself that this was a once in a long time opportunity, and I signed up. The tour included all the snorkeling gear, the wetsuit, the flippers, and a flashlight. But again, I brought my own snorkeling gear just for COVID sanitation reasons. And yeah, also you could do a diving tour if you wanted, but that probably would have cost a lot more. while I was on this tour, I thought I got so much footage, but now while editing, I realized it has been hard to find clips that were well lit. But trust me when I say that this whole tour was super unique and worth it, and I highly recommend it. And the end of the tour brought us to a huge bat cave. I don't think I've ever seen a real bat in my life before, so it was really amazing to see. It was also a little bit creepy, but definitely amazing. So after the tour, I was planning to walk all the way back to Tulum Centro, which, funny thing, I just looked on Google Maps and apparently it would have taken me almost 4 hours to get back by foot. Luckily, there was another solo traveler with me during the Cenotes tour, and after hearing my crazy plan to walk back, he offered to drive me. Turns out we had a similar plan for the day, so we ended up sticking together. As you can see, we went to the Tulum ruins. It was super hot and too crowded for my taste, but I cannot wait to show you some much better ruins in my next vlog. And the one great thing about this place were the amazing views of the water. After the ruins, we went to the beach, and this was my first time going to the beach in this whole trip, but honestly, it was not the best experience. First of all, it was crowded. I've never seen a beach this crowded. And then second of all, the guy that I was with lost his phone. He dropped it on the sand at some point, and then when he retraced his steps, it was gone. So long story short, we spent the next few hours asking around and later going from one police station to the next. We eventually decided to let it go since all of his photos were probably backed up on Google Drive, and we enjoyed the sunset. So that is it for my part 1 of Tulum. Part 2 is actually my favorite day trip I have ever done. I went to the Siangkan Biosphere Reserve, which had much more amazing Mayan ruins, and I also took a boat tour. So look forward to that. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in a week.